I was born into a family of adrenaline junkies and also into an alcoholic environment. And the adrenaline habit combined with my parents fighting a lot as a kid drove me to lash out at other kids. So I was a bully on the school bus. As I grew older, my antisocial behavior kind of amplified because I needed to be stimulating, so I kept taking it to another level. By the time I was 16, I was very familiar with violence, and as like many teenagers, I felt that I hated everybody. I hated my school, I hated where I lived, I hated cops, hated society, and it wasn't much of a stretch for me to get involved in white supremacist hate groups. It seemed to give a context to the hate and violence that I was already very familiar with. And I found that once I took that step and assumed this ideology as my identity, the hate and violence I put out into the world was reflected back at me in no uncertain terms. A good friend of mine went to prison for shooting a kid that did a drive-by on her house. Another friend of mine was shot and killed in a street fight. And after 7 years, this growing sense of exhaustion from practicing hate and violence was building to the point where I was looking for an excuse to leave. And that excuse came in the form of single parenthood to an 18-month-old little girl and a second friend being murdered in a street fight. So in 1994, I left hate groups, and since then I've been in a process of exploring self-forgiveness and really getting to a point where I'm trying to make amends for all the harm I've done. I really want to do something positive to counteract the negativity I put into the world, and I'm happy to do that nowadays with an organization called Serve to Unite, which does creative service learning and global engagement through the arts.